Well, hello, 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 my unstoppable lionesses. How are you? I'm prayerful that this has been a phenomenal week for you. We're at the last week of January 2026. Do you believe that? Time has went like whoosh. But here we are. I am excited to introduce you to my guest today, Miss Ashley Martin. She is the founder of Leadership Ladies. So, needless to say, because we're unstoppable lionesses, that just fit right in with our platform. So, please help me welcome Ashley to our show. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you, Dr. James, for having me. Hello, Lionesses. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. I am excited about this dialogue. I'm excited to share with you all, and I do believe that God has something to say.
Absolutely. Doesn't he
He got
always?
something to
Doesn't he
say.
always? And that's the
Always.
exciting part. He always has something to say. So Ashley and
Mhm.
I had a very, very intriguing conversation last week about focus. And I was like, okay, I know what I need to do with you. I need to bring you to my lionesses. Because focus is key in 2026. Seriously, that is like no cliche or what have you. We are a day away from the second month of this year. Do you believe that? It's like if we are
That's
not
the truth.
focused in, we are missing a whole lot. So, Ashley, before we dive into focus, because we're going to do that, I do want you to share about Leadership Lady, because obviously, if they're a lady and they're in leadership, they need to be focused. So tell
Right,
me about your company
right.
and tell my lionesses about your company, please.
Absolutely. But we all have what I believe, a mantle and a mandate, right?
Okay.
Um, we have a we have a position in God's kingdom. We have a position in God's army.
Hmm.
Um, with that, carrying that mantle, exercising, and actualizing that mandate that comes with our lives, with our careers, our callings, however it's expressed, there are things that God gives us in the natural to be able to do that. And so my company focuses on equipping and empowering and educating people around the use of soft skills.
Mm.
And sometimes I get, well, Esther, what is a soft skill? You have, whether you call it that or not, some people call them human skills, interpersonal skills, power skills. They are things we use every single day that honestly reflect the heartbeat of making things work.
Mm.
And so you with the soft skills come our technical skills, right? That's your technical and specialized knowledge, your expertise. So whether you're a teacher or you're a saleswoman or you are a CEO of a security company, whatever that's your technical skills. The soft skills that you use on a daily basis is the communication with your team, the collaboration, your visioning, your strategy, your executing, your self-care. So when you ask me how I was doing, I'm good. Like, it's giving genuine responses and hey, I'm good today or
Right.
I'm not so good today.
Yeah.
So my company comes in, and whether it's speaking or training or one-to-one coaching or consulting for how to, implement programs in your own organization. We come in and we help people know how to leverage those better or gain them,
Okay. Okay.
right?
So, with your soft skills, how do you incorporate that into your technical skills so that you can operate on a balanced level?
So that is a loaded question. And honestly, it depends on that. That's from role to role, from company to company. But how I like to explain this, they work like a seesaw. Like if you are the best technician in the world,
Hmm.
right? But you're not able to communicate what you need to get the things that you need done in order to make whatever technology you're working on work. What good is that?
Hmm.
You might have the best, most fabulous business product, right?
Hmm.
Best product on the best thing since sliced bread.
Okay.
Best thing since sliced bread.
Hmm.
If people don't know about it, if you can't talk about it or communicate about it, or if you don't know how to at least reach out and collaborate with others to help you get that out there,
Mhm.
then what, it's not going to do what it's supposed to do as much.
Right.
And
Right.
so they work kind of like a seesaw. If you've ever played on a seesaw or saw a seesaw, that it
I
takes two
grew up in
people.
the playground era when kids
Yeah.
went outside to play. I did play
Oh
on the
gosh, I
seesaw.
hear you. I'm playground and PlayStation. That's my generation. Playground,
We didn't
PlayStation.
have PlayStation. We just had playground. Okay.
I got you. And so they work together. They work in tandem. Even with PlayStation, there's people can play solo, but you can play with somebody else.
Yeah.
But how
Uh-huh.
they work in tandem, and as you apply your soft skills, it allows your technical skills to do what it does a little bit better, a
Okay.
whole lot better. So they work in tandem. And yeah, so I get the opportunity, my company gets the opportunity, and the privilege to be able to help people to use those better, doctor would helping a doctor improve their bedside manners, or helping a CEO of a media company be a better leader, not just a boss, but be a leader,
Mm.
right? Having
It
a good,
varies the
healthy
difference.
team culture is a big difference.
Right.
Having a big, having healthy culture
Hmm.
so that your team can do well. So
Mm.
that's how those play out and work together.
I like that. I like that. I had never, I guess, cross-referenced the interaction. First of all, this is the first time I heard of, excuse me, life skills being soft skills. So that's interesting, and that's a great way
Right.
to put it. Um, we had this phenomenal conversation about focus. And since we're talking about the skills we possess, how do we focus in on those skills so we're not scattered and all over the place? So we best use the skills that God has blessed us with. We don't
Right.
understand what's within us most of the time. I
Mm.
my passion is identity. It is totally
Oh
my
my gosh, that's one of mine too.
when you know who you are, and I
Right.
always preface that with based on whose you are, all right,
Right.
it changes the dynamic of how you see yourself, how you present yourself, how you accept how others will treat you, all right?
Right.
How do you take and focus in because God has given us all talents. I believe there's greatness within all of us. Our superpower is our uniqueness.
Right.
So how do we focus to hone in to the specialties of the talents that God has given us?
I'm you're all in my jam and toast and butter and everything. It is one of the major ways to start focus. Focus is a journey, right?
Hmm.
Right? It is
Hmm.
a journey. Cultivating it is a journey. And I how I like to explain it in my book, is it's a muscle that has to be exercised. Just like the
Hmm.
muscles that we have in our body.
Hmm.
How I like to explain it is it's a journey. And a part of our life journey and part of us honestly making sure that our calling and election is sure, making sure that we are in our God-given purpose work is
Hmm.
knowing who we are.
Hmm.
So I like people to take time to sit down and develop some self-awareness.
Okay.
That's the first key.
Hmm.
Self-awareness. Second key would be other awareness. So like your team awareness, but self-awareness. You
Hmm.
can develop that through a formal assessment, right? There's so many different assessments out there.
There
I
are.
have a few myself. There's so many. But you can also develop it in a very informal way,
Hmm.
through self-reflection.
Okay.
So, for those of you that are you write stuff down, or you're a journaler, or if you're not, get a piece of paper and a pen, and
Start.
just right start
If you
writing
don't
stuff down.
start, okay.
Start doing that brain dump. It'll clear your mind too.
Yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
write down, like, what are your top three strengths?
Mm,
Then what are your top three areas of growth?
okay.
Right? Then ask the people around you, what do you think I'm really good at? Ask them those same questions.
Mhm.
Because it'll give you an opportunity to see how other people see you.
Which is important.
Very important. And you have to know what to let in and what not to
Mhm.
let in, right?
Exactly.
And then do this. Do this. Pray and ask God how he sees you.
Mm.
The answers will start coming in. And that self-awareness will start or become stronger. And many of you already know who you are, but what I've experienced in life has taught me you need to remember who you are and to remind yourself of who you
Mhm.
are. And you need checks at different points in life through different seasons. Hey, this is who I am. I'm a child of the King of Kings.
Mm.
I am a child
Right.
of the King,
Not a
right? A
king,
daughter of
the
the King.
king. Okay.
Capital
Yes.
K, capital I, capital N, capital G.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
you have to remind yourself of that because as unstoppable as we are and as,
Mm.
God fearing, yet fearless of the other stuff we are, we have to remind ourselves of who we are.
Mm.
And sometimes people need to be told because they've never been told. I can't make the assumption that all people are like me, or people like you or have been in healthy environments that cultivate a level of positive esteem, right?
Mm. Mm.
So if you've been in a place in a space, whether it's been how you grew up or the environment that you worked in or some encounters that you've had, you
Mm.
got to know who you are from God's perspective.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I like that. The last Lioness Warrior Roundtable we did, which is what I call our retreats, there was a exercise that God had given me to have the ladies do. And it's right in line with what you just said. There was just one other component. I had these big poster boards, right? And I had them to draw 3 lines. The first column, I asked them to write down, how do they think people perceive them? How do they think in their mind
Right.
people
Right.
see them? All right. The next column was, how would you like for people to see you? How would you like for people to perceive you? The next column was, how do you see yourself? How do you see yourself? And then as they had those written down, the last column was, now ask God how he sees you. And then when you're writing this out and it's before you and you're comparing, because nobody's going to see your columns but you. So you don't have to, as they say, fake the funk. You don't have to pretend. You can be completely honest with yourself in what you put down. But that last column is the mirror reflection of what do the other 3 columns say and how do they reflect in the last one?
Right.
In the last one. Because if you perceive people don't see you the way God sees you, if you don't want people to see you in the same manner that God sees you, if you don't see yourself in the
Right.
manner that God sees you, then you're off. Your balance is off. Your seesaw, your teeter totter is not teetering. Okay, it
Wow.
is just it's down on one end, and the other end is up in the air, just dangling.
That's
Okay,
something.
and that's you
Um,
on the other end. You're on both ends of this seesaw, of this teeter totter, right? And you're up in the air, just dangling, not moving,
wow.
not moving. But when you can actually take the time to sit before God and say, what do you see when you see me? I guarantee it's going to be different than any one of those other columns. Guarantee, guarantee, because God sees you through his lens as your creator.
Right.
He sees you as the person he created you to be. How did he perceive you prior to breathing you forth in this earth realm? How did he see you? Because it's in the mind of the creator what the purpose of the creation is for. So, all your soft skills and your technical skills that you're talking about, if they're not operating according to the purpose for which you were created, what are you doing?
Right. That's something profound you said. We're created with a purpose in mind. And it brings back to mind that it's a journey. So don't feel like you have to like show up having every single thing figured out.
Absolutely.
He just,
Yeah.
God requires us to show up, do our best, and he'll do all the rest.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a journey, and he takes us from faith to faith and glory to glory. He knows what we can handle at a certain level. And then when
Absolutely.
it's time for you to level up, this is what I do sometimes a lot. Well, in trainings and in coaching calls and in talks, like, it's time. All right, it's time to level up. Where are
Mhm.
we? Where are you? Where
Mhm.
are you? Be
Mhm.
honest. If you're gonna let your hair down with anybody, let your hair down with you and God.
That's
Be
it.
honest.
That's
Where
it.
are you?
Be
What's going
honest.
on?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Be
Yes.
honest.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
he can say, okay, you need this, you gotta work on this. And he will speak to you the way that he knows to reach you, right?
Girl, yes. He reaches you right where you are. He doesn't talk to you the same way he talks to me. I I'll be like, God, you got jokes. Okay, you got jokes. It's like, really? You want me to do what? Like, really?
You
But he
understand?
but he knows. And it's like there are times he's a father. And we forget that he's a father. So there's that time when you're daddy's little girl and he is lovingly playing with you. And it's like, it's just your daddy's sweetheart. You just can't do any wrong in daddy's eyes. And then there's that time when he'll be like, excuse me, what you doing? Okay.
Mhm.
What do you think you're doing? Right? So and it's all literally to back to our focus to get us back to focus. To get us back to focus.
That is it. That is it. You hit the nail on the head. I wrote another book.
She wrote a book
That
called Focus, y'all.
focus, but also refocus.
There you go. There you
So
go.
sometimes you have to refocus, and refocus came out of after some experiences of pain
Mm-hmm.
and some mild trauma. I did not know that I would have to go back to refocus after a bigger trauma, and so there are times when you have to refocus. You got to reset. Re simply means to do again.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, God, reset my focus. And there's times you have to do that. There's times that you have to do that. And it doesn't matter who you are. It rains on the just and the unjust. We're
It
humans.
I have found it to be a coping mechanism to sit back and reassess.
Right.
Reassess what has happened,
That's good.
what is the consequence of what has happened, and now how do I focus in on what's currently happening. All right, because we go through last 2025 was that year for me. It was just like, oh my God. By December I had done a post where somebody had asked me how I was doing, and when I really thought about it in honesty, because we're always, oh, I'm good. I'm blessed and highly favored. I'm blessed to be stressed. I'm blessed, we have all of these little cliches that we can say, I'm good, right? But when I really sat down and I assessed the question, and especially who it came from, because I knew this person was asking from their heart. They weren't asking as a passing conversation. They were asking really, how are you doing? Right. And I thought about it and I said, I am on an emotional roller coaster ride and I want the ride to stop because I want to get off. I
Honesty.
don't like
Right.
roller coasters. In the natural, in the spiritual, in the
Right.
emotional, I don't like roller coasters. So I want to get off. Want to get off.
I only like natural roller coasters because it's something that you can get on and you can get off of it. So I hear you. And I mean the transparency and the honesty is important. It's important. You can't and it's good to be optimistic and hopeful and faithful because it's
Mhm.
not a like a I don't what I'm hearing you saying it's not an attack on having faith.
Not at
You're not
all.
doing you're being
Not
real.
at
You
all.
are being honest. The
That was
roller
the
coaster is
honest
not fun. The
state.
turbulence is not fun. Who
No,
on a plane? Who wants a plane to have turbulence?
like the
We
plane
like
drops and
smooth.
everybody screams.
Right. Like mm-mm.
But you know what? In being honest, in within myself, because I didn't say it out loud originally, right? But as I contemplated the truth of how I was feeling, then I was able to take that truth to God. And in taking it to God, I was able to find balance because I was able to give it to Him, because I was able to say, I'm really not okay. It's like
Right.
there is some deep seated stuff going on here, you know? And it's like, here's the key. We we know that, like you said, you had little traumas that took you to big traumas that caused you to have to reset. Mine was a year of big trauma. Okay. It was like he didn't it was like, okay, like really. And I always hesitate to say what else can happen. I never want to say that because I never want to open that door. All right. But it was trauma after trauma after trauma that started with the transitioning of my husband. And then it went to the transitioning of my dog, where I'd had for 12 and a half years. That was my
Oh,
baby.
wow.
And then transitioned to my BFF, who we've been friends since we were 12.
Oh my
And it
gosh.
was just like, okay, y'all, if I am going to be honest right now, my emotions are all over this place, and I'm still trying to hey, be who I am, be
Right.
faithful in what I've been given to
Right.
do, keep my focus. Okay,
Right.
trying, but I had to come to that place of honesty to say,
Right.
while you're running around saying I'm good, oh, it's all
Right.
good, I'm fine, I had to get
Mm-mm.
to that place of honesty, and then I could give it. And if we don't fake it, if we don't focus and face what we're really, really dealing with, we never will get our focus back because we keep stuffing stuff and we keep trying to press on. We just keep trying. Yeah, okay, I'm okay. Yeah, this will
And
pass. This will be okay. But like you just said, it's a process. And
you got
until
to
we
deal with that.
stop and deal with it and process.
Right. That right there will help so many people access the level of healing that they need and that they're seeking and that they're looking for and that they're spending thousands and tens of thousands and hundreds of dollars. Stop. Be still for a little while. We are, it's go, go, go. And we are in a time period where a lot of things are accelerated. So some of
Mhm.
that cannot be helped, but in the acceleration, God gives us grace to
Yes,
still stop.
yes.
How do you structure your day?
Mm.
Do you give God time? I literally mapped this
And
out because I'm on a keep on going part of my life's journey. I feel you with the going through traumas and being honest. I told you I mentioned before in our conversation. Somebody they came for my entire identity. They came for who I like, literally who I am. I'm talking about everything. And God had to put me back together. He had to put my life back there. He had to keep stuff, that needed to be kept. And I'm
Mhm.
expected to do all these things that people normally
Mhm.
are reliant and dependent on me. But I'm
For
like,
you
hey,
to
like
do, because you got to
this
keep
is like the
going, because
thread, and
everybody
I'm heading
waiting.
like this. Like I need y'all to be honest and realistic. So helping other people understand that about themselves, but also when you are a leader,
Mm.
it's a step further, making sure that your people are equipped so
Mhm.
that they too know how to stop and
Mhm.
press pause for the cause and get whatever it is that they need.
Right.
That processing of what you experienced, what you went through, is crucial because otherwise it'll become wrong baggage.
Absolutely.
It'll become or it'll fester and it'll show up somewhere else. But it's like if you really get to the root and the source of way, what really happened?
Mhm.
And for me, it was like, why did I experience this again with
Mm.
this same group of people? And what are you telling me about, what this was either long term that I didn't see before? God let me see what I didn't see before that I need to see now because I now have the maturity and the receptivity to receive it as such. And then how does this, whatever wrong thing that was trying to be so disruptive or so interruptive, how does this not happen again? How does it not happen again?
Mm.
So, in the midst of, the little things, I had to learn how to stay focused for a time period. He told me the Lord, and I'm thinking it was a 5 year thing because something happened in 2020, a lot of good stuff, but there were two very bad things that happened in 2020. One got healed the same day, the
Mm,
same day. The other thing, it has been a thing. He told me press pause. He said, I want you to pray about this past decade. And
yeah.
he is showing me, and I literally, um, and this is just a good practice. If you're on top of things, if you're somewhere in the middle, or
Mhm,
if you have gone through the go through, it's a good practice.
mhm,
Pay attention to those moments where you are winning, where you are shining, where you are doing what you do, and what is going on in your life and what is going on in the world.
mhm.
Those are some things that the Lord had me look at.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at 10 year time period over the past decade. He's like, just pay attention to the past decade. I'm like, okay, what happened? Transition from working for other people to working for myself, stepped out on faith, got released into the prophetic, right? Got released into some other things. So he's the apostolic. Like, okay. Didn't know what came with all
With
of
that,
that.
what came with that, right?
What
Yeah.
came with all of that, the good and the
Mhm,
um, lots of transition. Sold my house, downsized, then downgraded, but downsized. Like just getting ready to doing that whole building thing.
mhm,
Okay. Pay attention to what happened at 7 year time period. Pay attention to what happened at the 5 year time period. What was going on with the people too in your life? And then when the big thing happened, I almost lost my life in 2022.
mm.
Organized craziness. I'm like, I know I have I have an assignment on this earth, but I never thought that the adversary would go through that level of organization to try to stop what you put me on this earth to do. And it's been since there that in the midst of all of that, um, because I believe he's rectified and healed from all the stuff over the decade. It's in the midst of all the 2022 since up until honestly, even to some, this very time period, he's like, you gotta stay focused.
Mhm,
So we can't get to that point where we're comfortable. Some comfort. You should be comfortable in something, but we're comfortable in thinking that we don't have to keep sharpening our saw. Iron sharpens iron, right? You got to keep sharpening your saw, like Steve Covey
mhm,
said. You got to keep making sure that you don't lose your flavor or your saltiness. Like, we don't want to get trampled, right? So you got to come to that point, but where you take time, regardless of what you've experienced,
mhm,
and assess a little bit and say, hey, when I was winning, what was going on? And when I went through that really hard, terrible thing, what was going on? And if I went through something in between, especially if you're in between, if you're like, I haven't experienced too much, life is just kind of normal, I have my routine. What's going on? That's not a bad thing. It's good and important to know what helps you stay stable and what keeps you kept, right? In the hands of God.
mhm,
So it's in that being aware and cognizant and taking the time. We have again back to them when I'm restructuring my day because I'm getting back to my life as God's program.
mhm,
And some moves are about to be made. Moves have been made, rather. So I'm looking at my time and my day differently.
mhm,
And the Lord had me go back and revisit some stuff about tithing. Now, that may be elementary or basic for many of us. But he's like, money is not the only resource. Time is one valuable resource. There are other good resources. And so look at in the 24 hours, if you do 10% of your day,
mhm.
that is 2.4 hours. What that breaks down to is about 2 hours and 2 hours and 20 minutes. Can't give God 2 hours and 20 minutes of your day. Undistracted, completely devoted.
Mhm.
And if you do, I challenge whoever to try it. If you assess how your devotional time is, how your quiet time is, what does that look like? Try it if you're not there. If you are there, kudos, hey, high five.
Right.
Pray for the many who are not there. But
Right.
if you're willing to try just for a week to give God 2 hours and 20 minutes of your day in the 24 hours that we have in a day.
Mhm.
See the change that it will have in your life.
That's an amazing assessment because how God brought balance to me. He had already, excuse me, he had already called me to do a consecration at the end of the year. And we started it December 28th and went to January 3rd. So I conducted a shut-in at my church where literally we came in and we shut in for those 7 days. And the purpose and the focus of the consecration was realignment, realigning ourselves to God.
That's
We
good.
never consecrate, we never fast, we don't pray to get something from God. We do it to give ourselves to God. And he calls me when I was honest and confessed what I was literally feeling in my emotions, to take my emotions and my mind to that level of consecration 3 weeks before I ever shut into the church. He was like, give it to me, consecrate it unto me, and we'll get it. And by the time it came time to actually go in and do the consecration, level set, emotions, level set, peace, level set. All right. It came from that undivided attention and focus on him, focus on him. All right. And I promise you, it will, if there's a shift, there's a shift. I'm a firm believer that prayer time is, first of all, quiet time, because I'm not going to God to get something from him. I'm going to God to hear his heart on matters. All right. I'm going to God to say, what do you want me to release in the atmosphere? What do you want me to decree and declare? Because I am your ecclesia. I am your governmental authority in this earth realm. If I am your son or your daughter, that's who I am. And so I need to enter in prayer time first in silence so I can hear you. Now I'm praising you, I'm worshiping you because I'm entering into your gates with thanksgiving, but I'm listening. I'm listening. What are you saying? What is your will? What is your heart on these matters? The matters that you will bring before me. All right. I may have matters I want to bring before you to ask you your will for, but I also know there's matters that you will bring before me because you are the King of Kings. You are that end all be all hierarchy to this governmental entity that I am a part of. Because as I tell you, Lionesses, y'all know, I say this all the time. I'm a citizen of the kingdom of heaven first before I'm a citizen of this earth realm, before I'm a
Absolutely.
citizen of any country. Okay.
Absolutely.
I'm his
Absolutely.
citizen first. So I first need to operate under his kingdom principles. And then not only am I a citizen, but because of his son's um, appointment of giving us power and authority and the keys to the kingdom, now I need to operate from that place of governmental authority as well. So I'm not just an heir to the throne. I'm operating from that place of governmental
Right.
authority. Well, I need to know what the king is saying about what is going on so that as his ambassador, as his governmental representative in this earth realm, I'm speaking the same language that's coming from the throne. And that's vital. And that takes focus. That takes focus. That takes us entering in to that place in him where we're hearing and then
Right.
agreeing. Okay, this is
Yeah.
what God said about this.
Right. That hearing part. That hearing part. And in order to hear well, it it's something you have to ask God with during, in different seasons. But just like with anything, with hearing in our natural ears, it starts with sound. Sound. So like, what's coming in? How's your filter? What frequency is going on? It starts with sound, and there's something about being able to hear God clearly that makes everything so much more smoother.
Mhm.
And I've been in times and seasons where that hearing him was vied for
Mhm.
and vied for on a daily basis beyond the stuff that you have to have your God filter on anywhere.
Yeah.
Let alone,
At
stuff
all
that comes through
times.
TV, something that comes through radio, something that comes through
Mhm.
conversation, stuff in, things in our communities and things. But spiritually, with especially some of the things that we're combating right now, where it is a different level of activity in the earth, and there's a different level of activity in the heavenlies.
Absolutely.
All this the war
Absolutely.
that's going on, and with
Hmm.
people, depending on where you are, some people are you've experienced natural, physical
Hmm. Hmm.
war, and then certain other places it's not that kind of war. It's there's a disruption in our day. There are protests. There's a spiritual warfare that we experience, and so that ability to hear amongst even all of that in different seasons,
Hmm.
you have to learn how to lean into God to be
Absolutely.
able to still be able to hear Him and to be able to perceive Him,
Hmm.
because He gives us senses for a reason.
Hmm.
My background even as a writer, my background as a elementary school teacher, that's where I started. I would teach my students that we write with our senses, right? Our five senses. We see, we taste, we touch, we smell, we feel, all of that. We hear. And so when you're thinking about even, writing and communicating in our senses, all of those things matter. Not just in the natural, they matter spiritually. They
Yes.
matter spiritually. And there's this vie. Um, there's this vie for your senses.
Mhm.
There's this vie for our senses in different reasons. But we have to again remember who we are, identity, that self-awareness, and say, God, I'm your child. I need you to help me
Mhm.
to make sure that my senses are submitted even to you, my
Mhm.
spiritual and natural senses, because
Yes.
that all plays out in how you show up and how you use your skills and how you exercise and walk out and live in your mantle and your mandate. All that plays out.
Absolutely. There is like in sound, as you were saying, there's frequencies, you know.
Hmm.
It's like a dog whistle. When you blow it, you don't hear it, but the dogs hear it. There's that frequency, you know. And it's like that with hearing the voice of God. You've got to make sure that you fine tune your senses as you were
Right.
teaching your students to sense, feel, hear, taste, smell, all of that.
Right.
Okay. His presence, his
Right.
voice. The word says, my sheep know my voice, and another they will not
Not following.
follow. Okay. That frequency. And you
Right.
know when he's speaking to you because he specifically has a way that he speaks directly to you, directly to you. All right. Where you can be, and I'm sure you understand this, you can be in a whole auditorium full of people, but if your mother or your father stepped in that auditorium and called your name
Yep.
above all the noise, above all the
Right.
chaos, you're gonna
Right. You hear. Right.
gonna hear
Right.
it and
Yep.
respond.
It's and the proper that's it, and the proper response. So then when you do hear, or when the messages do come clear, what
Mhm.
is your response? And I was taught even growing up that a response is better than a reaction.
Oh,
A response
that's good.
calls for, again, press and pause for the right cause, right? Taking time, slow down, be still. Like, let me think about the information I just got.
Mhm.
And then let me not jump to the gun, right? Let me think about it for a little while and then let me respond. Let me think
A lot
about
of
it.
times that comes with maturity because I know in
Right.
my youth, I did not respond. I reacted. And just like that, okay? And I used to tell people what came up came out because
Oh
I went
gosh.
through
Filter.
that. I had no filter. But the reason I had no filter for a time and a pause or a time in my life was because I had taken on the spirit of bitterness because I had been hurt. And I had had people disregard how I felt about what they said to
Hmm.
me and about me. So if you
Hmm.
can disregard my feelings, then I will disregard everybody's feelings. There was the
Oh
problem.
wow.
I'm not disregarding just your feelings. I have taken your presentation or what your perception of me is, and I've turned it inward and allowed a wound to fester And now it's infected. And because it's infected, now it's bitter. Now it's bitter. And so doesn't matter whose feelings it is. I don't care.
Wow.
I don't care. And a lot of times we go through different traumas in life, different situations, and we don't take the time to find out, okay, what was the result of that? What was the outcome of that? See, I had to give my life to the Lord to really even get to a place of admitting, oh girl, you bitter. You really bitter. And that cold heart, stony heart, God was like, I need you to give that to me. I need you to allow me to heal that. Because
Right.
that's what it was. It was hurt. It was pain. All
Right.
right. But our defense, let me say my defense mechanism was if that's what you feel, I don't care what you feel. But again, I didn't just
Oh
limit
wow.
it to that person,
It just kind of came out. It just emoted.
everything, to
Wow.
everybody.
Wow. Wow. But I mean that was your heart speaking. A lot of abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
we learn those tools with how to cope, right? So you learn how to
Uh-huh.
cope with over time. And I think, it's so important. So important for people to be exposed to the right things.
Yeah.
The right things. I mean and again, when you thought as a child, you acted like a child. And when you became more mature, you became an adult,
Oh,
you act
thank
like you
God for
respond as an
maturity,
adult.
girl.
It's that
Woo.
important. It is that important, but it's it's
Yes.
it's one of those is one look one of those focus keys.
Yeah.
Is being
Yeah.
honest, being transparent, and taking the time
Hmm.
to be reflective and say, hey, this is not healthy. I should not respond like that. Or if
Exactly.
somebody calls me out in love or something, then, getting into defense mode and go running your mouth and talking to everybody and gossiping or tail bearing or saying so and so did that to me and did that another and want people to fight for you. And that's not the right response.
No, not at
That's
all.
not, and shutting people out automatically. It's not the right response.
Yeah.
It's not
But
the right
coming
response.
face
So
to
we,
face to say, this wasn't right. I know it wasn't right.
right, right.
Being brutally honest. Actually, we're down the last 2.5 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
It goes so quickly. It really, really does. I want you to share final thoughts with the Lionesses and
Yes.
how they can find you because they need the leadership lady in their life.
Well, final thoughts. I would say this, with all of the ways that God shows up to you and through you, make sure that you are making your calling and election sure. That scripture kept popping up before we got on today. 2 Peter 1 and 10. Therefore, brethren, be even more diligent to make your call and election sure. If you do these things, you will never stumble. The key is making sure we reach that destination,
Mhm.
enjoying the ride. God, He didn't, we go through different seasons, we go through trials and tribulations, but there's lots of joys, there's lots of happiness and enjoying the ride. And so make sure you call an election ensure and make sure that you are doing your best with the resources that God has given you and will give you to get what you need to exercise that mantle and mandate and enjoy your life. If you need help with that, I am here. You can find me at www.leadershiplady.com. You can also email info@leadershiplady.com. I'm on LinkedIn as well, spreading the name, on YouTube, Leadership Lady as well. And for those of you that want to hear a little bit more messages that are more directly faith based, I'm also on YouTube under Best Ashley Young. So I've done some speaking in churches and ministries as well. And so there's some more direct faith based messages there. But just kudos. I salute you because I see you by way of the Spirit. And I know that um, God is faithful. And so I hope that focus is one of those things that helps you to become unstoppable.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much. We are so grateful that you took the time to share with us today. I so appreciate you. And your book, where can they get your book on
I
focus?
appreciate you too. So it looks like this. This is
Okay.
one of them. And then the other one looks like this. The blue
Okay.
book. And see it. You can go to Amazon. They're both on
Amazon.
Amazon. Yep.
Okay. Under Ashley M. Martin.
Ashley and Mart are both on Amazon.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you. All right, Unstoppable Lionesses, that's it. Our last show of January 2026. You are unstoppable. So you are going to charge into February, and God has got you. You will accomplish all that He created you to do.